So, hello everyone, I'm back again, Tom for Animuscle, and this is the Energy System blog part 2. So obviously in the first one we covered the anaerobic lactic acid system. This time we're going to be covering the anaerobic lactic system, or the glycolytic energy system, which is designed for high to medium intensity, short duration. So this one varies from 10 seconds up to around 90 seconds. It's also known as
No.
fast glycolysis. One. Need to work on my English, don't I? Sorry. So this energy system provides energy for medium to high intensity bursts, as mentioned. The ability to sustain this system is commonly viewed as important, well, very important athletic attribute, because it's probably the most common one you'll see in team sports, especially basketball, hockey, rugby, football, other sports, figure skating, boxing, mixed martial arts. It's probably the most heavily used one, is probably how you could probably term it. So, and it's, again, this energy system is paramount to performance. Again, it's not something that you consciously turn on or activate. Body does it itself. The anaerobic lactic system does not require oxygen. So, however, whereas the adenosine triphosphate and creatine phosphate system will only produce energy for around 10 seconds, which is the anaerobic lactic system, this one allows us with fast glycolysis to work at a capacity for much longer. So comparing 10 seconds to 90 seconds, you're getting nearly 9 times as long with it. Obviously, it's not at the same high, super high intensity, but it's still a high intensity for a longer duration period. So as a result of this system, you get a waste byproduct in the muscle known as lactic acid, which accumulates in the blood and muscle cells, which is, for example, it's like the deep burn you feel if you are shifting weights after a while, or if you're running and you're running relatively fast, you start feeling the burn in your legs, your lungs especially. That's just lactic acid building up in the body, and it's just a wasteful byproduct of using up energy, basically, and this starts to get into the muscle tissues before it starts building up before it has a chance to be removed, or it's building up quicker than it can be removed, which, that's the result of the burning sensation, shortness of breath, fatigue. They're all the most common symptoms of lactic acid being present. So when that starts to occur, this will affect athletes' performance. They'll have to have a bit of rest and recovery to be able to keep on performing it, pushing the pace, basically. So focusing on this energy system during training can reduce the amount of lactic acid that builds up. So the more you train it, the more efficient the body becomes at dealing with it, or being able to work for a longer period of time and at a higher intensity. So it prolongs the ability to utilize this energy system, which will result in higher tempo and higher intensity. So again, it's an important part if you want to be a overall athlete. It's not so much important to, say, powerlifters, as mentioned in the anaerobic lactic, or sprinters, because they're not going to be working for that period of time. But if you're going to be playing a sport or taking part in an activity with varying intensities through it, it's very important that you sort of have to dip your toes into each one and work in each area to be essentially the whole package, if that makes sense. So it's very, very important. that you sort of, pay attention to it, put time into it. So this energy system mainly uses glycogen, which we get stored from carbohydrates we've consumed in the muscle and the liver. It is, like as mentioned, it's not as high intensity as the anaerobic lactic system, but it's still medium to high intensity for that duration of period, from that 10 to 90 seconds roughly. So it was studied that rate of lactic acid removal was 25% within 10 minutes, 50% within 25 minutes, and 100% in 75 minutes. So yeah, as you can see, it's not a quick recovering system. So that's why if you're in a game with varying intensity, such as high to low intensity, if you're, say, as mentioned, playing a team sport, and there's a part or a phase where you can sort of drop your intensity to jog lightly or just keep moving, that will help aid recovery. But again, you will not be getting to 100% while you are still expected to perform at any given moment, which is why it's so important the energy system is trained to be able to tolerate a higher demand and sustain the system for the duration you're trying to perform for. You can only really replenish your glycogen in the body after high endurance activities through rest and consuming adequate nutrition, mainly through carbohydrates. So it's believed that you can get to 60% within 10 hours and 100% within 48 if you're following good protocols. But obviously, as you become more adapted, more trained, and you become more capable, those times will probably reduce. Such as an athlete could probably go out and put a good shift in and recover and probably do it again the following day. You take Joe Bloggs off the street, who's never really been physically active, never really done any type of sport or training, and they exert themselves and then they try and come back and repeat the next day. There's probably very slim to little chance that that's going to happen. So again, if you're a trained athlete, then you will definitely be able to perform more regularly at higher intensity anyway. So carbohydrates obviously are the main energy source. Carbs get a bad name, Oh, don't have carbs, have keto and all this. I love carbs. I'm not going to cut them out. Main energy source, they're delicious. So, yeah, get them in your diet, guys, if you're training especially. So, again, the two types that you can use for is for muscular endurance, which is like repeated muscle contractions, or speed, for moving as fast as you can for the 10 to 90 second window you want to work for. So yeah, it's one of them again. It's interesting. I don't know if you find it interesting. I find it incredibly interesting about how these different energy systems exist and how you can train them and utilize them. So that's pretty much covered this one. That's part 2 done. Part 2 wrapped up and ready for the last one. So stick with it, guys. One more part to go, and then we're done with the energy systems. Bosh.